Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Ton of talent entering in the transfer portal the last couple days, and specifically at the quarterback position. And there's a lot of teams that are going to be looking for quarterbacks in the transfer portal. I want to take a second and rank the top 7 quarterbacks that are available in the transfer portal currently. And I say currently because there are some names that we might expect to enter in the transfer portal that haven't already entered yet. These are only the names that have announced they're entering the transfer portal. So guys like Cam Ward, Malik Murphy, really talented quarterbacks that might be included in these rankings a little bit later. Not going to be talked about today. These are the top 7 quarterbacks that are currently in the transfer portal. Really excited to get into this one. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys. There has been just a ton of support for the boys the last couple of days. We're doing our best to kind of cover as many roster moves as we can in the transfer portal, and truly cannot thank you guys enough for rocking with the boys, showing your support. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And more importantly, these are my top 7 rankings, and I totally recognize this could look a lot different for a lot of different people. So drop your rankings in the comment section. We'll chop it up there. And without further ado, let's get into it. And my number 1 quarterback in the transfer portal, and I was kind of surprised with the amount of fans that we're kind of out on Dante Moore after a rocky freshman year at UCLA. Dante Moore, at the end of the day, is probably the most talented quarterback that is in the transfer portal right now. And you look at how you might evaluate these quarterbacks. If you're a team that goes out and gets Dante Moore, you get him for at least 2 more years, right? He only went through 1 year at UCLA, and I get it. It was ugly. You take a look at the numbers, a 53% completion percentage, only 1,600 yards, 11 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. My take on Dante Moore and why I kind of disagree with this narrative that Dante Moore cannot figure it out at the college football level is, when is the last time we've seen a true freshman quarterback come in their first year and light it up? It's extremely rare. It's not as rare at other positions, but at the quarterback position, it's rare. It's a big step up from the high school ranks. And the last quarterback I could think of doing that as a true freshman is Trevor Lawrence. We all know he was kind of a generational prospect coming out of high school, and you specifically look at Dante Moore's situation behind an offensive line that really couldn't pass protect, 156 total pressures given up by that UCLA offensive line. He did not have a ton of time to operate. And when you're a freshman quarterback, the game's already going fast. You don't need it going faster because your offensive line struggles to pass protect. And you look at a guy like Trevor Lawrence, had a ton of talent around him, a really good situation for him to come in and thrive. Dante Moore, I don't think his situation was as good. And when you get into the film, and we watched a ton of UCLA games this year, Dante Moore makes some special passes. You can't really argue that the upside for Dante Moore is extremely high. It's like Heisman Trophy caliber, first-round quarterback caliber upside. So you look at Dante Moore, accepting that, yeah, it was a rocky freshman year, but if he puts it together, finds a place where it's a good spot for a quarterback to thrive in, I mean, I think Dante Moore is going to be one of the better quarterbacks that we see in college football the next couple of years, combined with all the eligibility that he has remaining. Dante Moore, certainly at the top of my list for quarterbacks. The next guy that I'm going to, and this is also another guy that I feel like doesn't get enough credit, is Will Rogers. And I feel like talking about Will Rogers, a lot of people kind of just write him off for kind of playing in the Mike Leach offense. At the end of the day, Will Rogers is a guy that's thrown for over 1,200 yards at the SEC level, a 70% completion percentage, 94 touchdowns to 28 interceptions. There's not many things Will Rogers has that concern you, besides that ability to play in a different style of offense other than the air raid offense, because his last year, not under the air raid, was probably his worst year. But at the end of the day, he's an extremely accurate passer, a ton of starting experience going back to his true freshman year in Starkville. And I think unarguably, he elevated this Mississippi State team. And that's something you got to look for in these quarterbacks. Are these quarterbacks able to elevate the offense around them? When Will Rogers was not healthy for Mississippi State in 2023, this team stunk. When he was healthy and he was playing, this offense was much, much better. You're looking at a quarterback that not only is second in all-time passing yards in the SEC conference, but a guy that when you watch the film and you watch Mississippi State with him and without him, there's a stark difference. And I think that speaks to how good Will Rogers is and the ability for him to immediately elevate the new offense that he's going to be in. He's my number 2 quarterback in the portal. Next going out, we're going to the Big 12, and that's going to be Will Howard from Kansas State. And this is one of those situations where he's a winner. Will Howard's a gamer. Is he going to be a top 50 pick in the NFL draft? Probably not. But you look at the size, 6'5", 245 pounds, a guy that's rushed for almost over 1,000 yards in his career. But you look at the passing numbers, I mean, almost 6,000 passing yards, 59% completion percentage, 48 touchdowns to 25 interceptions. But most importantly for Will Howard is I think he took the most amount of steps as a pocket passer his last year at Kansas State. So I think it's a guy that can for sure be a plus passer from the pocket. But when you combine his ability to use his legs, be physical as a runner, and then his ability to just win football games. And like when you're evaluating quarterbacks and you look at a lot of coaches evaluating quarterbacks on the high school ranks, they look for winners. Are you winning state titles? Are you winning football games for your team? Will Howard at the collegiate level has been a winner for Kansas State, Big 12 champion in 2022. Solid arm, big arm actually. It needs to dial on the accuracy. Very good runner, very good body, but most importantly, a winner at Kansas State. Again, this is another quarterback that I think immediately comes into a new offense and probably is elevating the offense around him. Next guy I want to talk to, and this is probably the biggest disagreement I have with a lot of other people around college football, and that's going to be Tyler Van Dyke, being my 4th best quarterback available in the transfer portal. You look at Tyler Van Dyke's numbers, and more than the numbers are solid, right? 64% completion percentage, over 7,500 passing yards total, 54 touchdowns to 23 interceptions. What I want to focus on with Tyler Van Dyke is there is a reason Tyler Van Dyke was getting so much buzz as a first-round NFL draft pick a couple of years ago, because the talent, the upside that Tyler Van Dyke has is through the roof. This is a guy that can make any throw on the football field. And Miami fans know. You've seen the ceiling of Tyler Van Dyke. Think about that Texas A&M game early in 2023. He looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the country when he's on. What happened with Tyler Van Dyke a couple times in his career is kind of lost his confidence. And he lost his starting spot. And he's a guy that if he goes to a new spot, gets that confidence back, gets put in a good situation, I think he could be one of the better quarterbacks at the college football level. Kind of got me thinking like Bo Nix, right? Remember Bo Nix at Auburn in a really bad spot with a bad offensive line, with bad pass catchers. He lost his confidence. He transfers to Oregon, and everyone's kind of grilling him, saying he's a guy. We know what he is at Auburn. He wasn't great. And what's he do at Oregon? He goes out and lights it on fire. This year, he's looking like he's going to win a Heisman Trophy. I'm not saying Tyler Van Dyke's going to go win a Heisman Trophy at his next stop, but he's one of those guys that I wouldn't be so quick to write off because he had an up and down year in 2023, because the talent that Tyler Van Dyke has, and I think a lot of Miami fans would agree with this, is extremely high. What you're looking for is just the consistency, him finding his confidence again. If he does, I think Tyler Van Dyke is going to have a massive impact on his next school. Next guy I'm going to, Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina. Grayson McCall was one of the hottest quarterbacks in the transfer portal last year. Obviously had some eligibility, academic concerns, ended up going back to Coastal Carolina. You look at Grayson McCall's years. He's a 4-year starter, thrown for over 10,000 yards, 88 touchdowns to only 14 interceptions, a 70% completion percentage. He's also added over 1,000 yards rushing, 6'3", 200 pounds. Grayson McCall, I don't know if you'll find many more accurate quarterbacks than Grayson McCall. You're looking at a guy that comes in and maybe not the upside like a Dante Moore or a Tyler Van Dyke. And obviously you're going to see a big jump in competition if you move to the Power 5 level. Grayson McCall is going to come in and he's going to hit the passes that you want him to. I think he's a gamer. He knows how to win football games at Coastal Carolina. Kind of checks a lot of the boxes. And again, I have him 5th because I don't know if his upside is Tyler Van Dyke or Dante Moore, and he's not a proven winner at the Power 5 level like Will Rogers or Will Howard. But you're asking me about a quarterback that I think could come to a new school and be extremely solid. I think Grayson McCall's that guy. And at the college football level, that's kind of what you're looking for at the quarterback position. With all the inconsistencies you see with quarterbacks across the Power 5 level, Grayson McCall does not have those inconsistencies. You ask him to make a throw, he's going to make it. He's going to put it on the money. I really like Grayson McCall. My brother and I were talking about it. He does not agree with me, but Grayson McCall, one of the better quarterbacks available in the transfer portal right now. Next guy I'm going to, and a guy that I'm just not as high on as most other people, and that's Riley Leonard. He's going to Notre Dame. That's not me saying I don't like Riley Leonard, but when you look at Riley Leonard in his career, he only had one season where you're like, yeah, that's a plus quarterback at the college football level. And I get in 2023 was really banged up. A couple things I like about Riley Leonard, because this is not me trying to drag him. Good body, 6'4", 212, has a good arm, but he's a gamer too. Like, he's elevated this Duke team massively in his time at Duke. My only concern is I don't think he's the best pocket passer. He's only thrown for 4,400 yards in his career, 62% completion percentage, 24 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. He also can get it done on the ground, though, 1,200 rushing yards, 19 touchdowns. With the other quarterbacks that we've talked about, Will Rogers, Will Howard, Grayson McCall, you've seen those guys play at a high level year after year after year. Riley Leonard really only has that 1 year in 2022 where you're saying he is a very good quarterback at the Power 5 level, because you look at the 2023 film, even when he was healthy, it wasn't the most impressive quarterback film that you've seen. So I'm not as high on Riley Leonard as most other people. I still think he's a plus quarterback at the Power 5 level, and if Notre Dame does indeed get him, I do think he has a higher upside than Sam Hartman with that 6'4" body with a stronger arm than Sam Hartman. There's probably just not as much to love about Riley Leonard in his past than some of these other quarterbacks. That's why I have him ranked as low as I do. Two more guys I want to talk about. One, DJU at Oregon State. And I think DJU took some strides with Jonathan Smith, but you look at the numbers for DJU at Oregon State, he still only had a 57% completion percentage at Oregon State, and you still see kind of the same problems that you saw DJU have at Clemson, which is missing those throws that just kind of make you scratch your head a little bit. I think the consistency, there's no doubt DJU has the talent. There's a reason he was a 5-star coming out of high school, all the arm talent in the world. What you're looking for DJU is to put it together, put the consistency together a little bit. Again, won a lot of football games for Oregon State, looked good at times. He's also a very good runner with the football. But my problem is I'm looking for a little consistency. And you ask me if I'd rather have DJU or Grayson McCall, and I've seen Grayson McCall throw for a 70% completion percentage, barely miss any throws, extremely consistent for multiple years as a starter. In DJU, more just those kind of uglier games where, again, you're just left scratching your head. I'm going to go with the quarterback that's been more consistent for longer than a guy like DJU. And the last guy I want to talk about, and this is just a flyer. And I could see him, my perfect fit for him is Nebraska. Matthew Luca coming up from Holy Cross. Not a lot of people know about him. He's called the Tim Tebow of the FCS, and he's called that for a reason, right? 5,800 passing yards, 59 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. So he takes care of the football, which you love about him. 3,500 rushing yards, 38 touchdowns. The last 2 seasons, over 1,200 yards in each of those seasons rushing. Matthew Luca, and checking out a little, hand up, I haven't watched a ton of Holy Cross football in totality, but I did check out Matthew Luca's film and some of his highlights. This dude, I get to Tim Tebow comps. Like, he is a tough as nails when he runs. He's a very fluid ball carrier. He's a guy that, again, that prototypical gamer. And I think he comes up in the right situation at the Power 5 level. Again, a team like Nebraska that wants to run the quarterback a little bit. I mean, Matthew Luca would make a ton of sense. I think he would be the quarterback one for Nebraska immediately. I'm not saying he's just going to Nebraska, but he's a guy that there's a reason he's hitting the portal, because I think he can be a quality Power 5 starter. Again, it's a really big jump in competition. You've seen Cam Ward make that jump. Matthew Luca, there's no reason I don't think he can make that jump as well. Really excited about what Matthew Luca can do at the Power 5 level. Again, not a lot of people very familiar with him, but I think this dude can absolutely game. I would keep an eye on Matthew Luca. A couple honorable mentions. Tyler Shuck from Texas Tech, a guy that when he's healthy, plays good football. It just hasn't been healthy his whole career. So you're looking to add a quarterback through the transfer portal, a veteran guy. You kind of want a guy that's reliable. And right now, Tyler Shuck just hasn't been able to put a healthy season together. And then Brendan Sorsby from Indiana, a kind of an up and down gunslinger, but he's a guy that can game. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bigger Power 5 school coming from Indiana that wants to bet on that upside. Those are the quarterbacks that I have now. Again, expecting to see some more quarterbacks hit the portal in the next couple of days. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. Would love to hear your rankings in the comment section. We'll argue about it there. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.